Top boss, how are you today? How are you doing? Such an honor for me to be here live talking about my journey.
How are you
It has
today?
been
How are you
great
doing?
and an amazing journey for sure. And I really feel great about the entire journey and about myself, especially when talking about an electrical technician's journey. So, Top Boss, where are you streaming from? So glad to have you here. It really means a lot to me. As an electrical technician, my journey has been a bit tricky and hard, especially starting whereby I didn't have anyone guiding me, or as many electricians who come to my inbox tell me, please hold my hand, let us go to the site or to wherever place that you are in so that I can learn a skill or two. Back in the days, I didn't have anyone to help me or to guide me through, but I was walking as if I was a guy that didn't have any direction. I tried so many things, by the way. I even tried electronics. I wanted to, just have my hands on electronics and understand how they work. And I quickly learned that this was not my area because I did not really get to understand the nitty gritty when it comes to electronics. And especially, you will know that electronics requires a lot of calculations and a lot of concentration. And that still doesn't guarantee that you'll get it right. So, as an electrical technician in the area of electronics, I really struggled a lot, and therefore I discovered that my area was in electrical engineering, and so I decided to focus on that. So I did a little bit of electronics at the start, mixing with electrical, but again I had to quit along the way and simply focus on electrical. Discovered that electrical was indeed my passion. When I was a child, I really loved solar connections. As many of you who have followed me on the other channel, which is Topites Electricians, you already know that indeed I do more when it comes to electrical and when it comes to solar. And growing up, I really found it so easy connecting a battery, connecting a solar panel, and connecting a bulb to it, and even a switch. So, my top boss, I really enjoyed that entire journey. And when I was done with my primary school, I entered high school. In high school, I had a bit of challenge when we were selecting subjects. I knew for sure that I would do electrical engineering in my entire life. And I had a challenge when it came to selection of subjects simply because my physics teacher wanted to kick me out at the point of approval for me to proceed, because there are notes that I didn't have, the diagrams that I didn't have, and therefore he used that as a criteria to select his students to proceed to the next class. And therefore he actually had a great selection criteria, and it almost kicked me out. But there is a time that he said that indeed I cannot have you in my class simply because there are diagrams that are missing in your notes, and he was very serious, and he kicked me out. At that time, I was so frustrated because I saw that my world had come to an end and crumbled, because I knew this is what I wanted to do in life. I knew this is what I would become in my life, and therefore there was no way of stopping me, especially when it comes to physics, because I knew without physics I would really struggle when joining my college. And therefore I had to study from the window. My top boss, I used to study physics from the window until he would accept me. I'm having my black coffee as usual here, black sugarless coffee. I love coffee a lot. It comes in handy when I want. So glad that I'm having it this side of Kenya. Where are you streaming me from? My top boss, I can see some of you have already joined. What an honor. We are already over 100 top bosses on that podcast channel, which is John Gatehi. 109 subscribers. Thank you so much. It means a lot for each and everyone that finds time to actually believe in what I do or say, and in fact interact with my content. I'm not saying that I'm the best, but I appreciate your time in here. So what are you sipping on, my top boss, this morning? Is it morning where you are? Is it noontime? Is it evening? Or is it at night? So I used to study from the window, you know, and every time that that teacher used to came, he was called Mr. I think it was Mr. Wanyama. Yes, our physics teacher was very tough. He would come to class, look around. I remember there was a friend of mine who was called Kennedy. And so I heard that Kennedy quit doing physics simply because one day the teacher came to class, was walking around, and then he stopped at him, had not said a word for some minutes. He was kind of weird. And then I don't know what that guy did, my friend Kennedy, but he was beaten thoroughly. Beaten. And then after that, I think the teacher walked out of the class. Most of the time, he would come to the classroom, walk around without saying a word, just stare at someone, laugh them off, and then exit the class, and that was it. And I remember that we were behind syllabus because of these things that weird things that this teacher was doing. But anyway, long story short, so I persisted. Whenever he came to class, he expected me to go out of the classroom. And I did that. I would go out of the classroom, but with my book, and then listen to the lectures from the window. One day, when he was coming out of the class, I went, I followed him, talked to him, convinced him, but he insisted never step inside my class. All right. So I carried on. I said, you know what? I will continue studying this subject from the window. And I tried to tell my mother, please, mom, allow me to change school because now there is no way my life can go on without physics. If at all I'm not allowed to do physics or to continue with the physics subject in this school, it means that I have a huge problem when I will get to the college level, because I will not be allowed to proceed with that electrical engineering course. My mother did not agree to any of that, because at that particular point, that was my second school, because I had been expelled from another school that I began in. And therefore, in this new school that I had not even spent, I think, 2 years, and I wanted to again shift to another one, so my mother would not have any of that. And so what remained for me was to do away with that physics and choose something else. And so the only option that I had at that point was for me to keep on persisting until this teacher gives in. And true to that desire, it happened one day. So one day when he was coming to class, he saw me at the window ready for his lesson, and he gave me that sign that until today I value. He said he just did this, come to class. And I think he waited for me to enter before he could, but that, I think, was one of the best moments in my life, because I thought that this guy had given me a key to my life. I thought that without physics, without pursuing electrical engineering, there is nothing that is left for me in this world. And so that is how I was allowed to pursue physics all the way to finishing high school. After that, I graduated. I completed high school and then I joined college and went all the way to graduation. And that is how it was for me. Now, just to before graduation, I was a student and I engaged in so many activities that would sharpen my skill even before I completed my schooling. This is what happened. In my school, there was an administration that was being constructed, very big one, and therefore that administration block was very tall. Had a lot of areas for me to learn, a lot of distribution boards for three phase. And one day I asked myself, there's electrical engineering that is happening here. Why can't I enter this site and try to talk to the engineers and ask if I can volunteer? And so that time I was still studying in the same school. So I took advantage of that and approached the guy. That engineer was named Karis. And I talked to him. I asked him, Karis, um, I am a student in this school and I don't want you to pay me even a single cent. All I'm asking is for you to allow me to join in the site and just see what is happening. Karis was a very, very strict character. He didn't want anyone in the site as an idler. So, as much as I wanted to learn, it was not about just me going to observe what other electricians were doing, but I had to come along with the tools so that I can be able to join others in that work. That time, because the construction was ongoing, you know, it was not about wiring or fixtures. It was about creating pathways for conduits on the walls. That means that we had to cut through the stones to allow for the pathways for the conduits. And I was prepared for anything. I was ready for anything. As long as I'm getting skills, as long as I'm learning something here, I was with the attitude like, why not? Why not? So I went and got a hammer, the chisel, the right chisel. They guided me on the right one, and I hit the road running, doing what the rest were doing. Top boss, smash the like button if you are ready to get some value out of our today's session. And I'm so glad that this is our first live session on this podcast. YouTube the other day agreed or allowed me to be hosting live session after we hit the subscriber count that can allow you to go live. For this case, we hit 50 subscribers. You know, once you are at 50, then you are allowed to host a live session. Now, I hit 50 and I applied, and in less than 24 hours, I was allowed to now start hosting live session. And that is why today we are here hosting the live session. What is your view about my plant here? This is a live plant. I love live plants. Like my father really invested in trees, and when you visit our home in the rural area, has a lot of trees. Yes. So thank you so much, my top boss. Where are you streaming from? I'd be so glad to know, because I really love it when I interact with my top bosses. You have made me. Without you, my top boss, I wouldn't be at this particular point. Every time I like talking to electricians and sharing my journey. It is so inspiring when I get feedback about other electrical technicians, about their journey, especially, and their struggles, and I can relate. And whenever I share my journey as well as my struggles, they can relate as well. And it means a lot when someone shares a story that I have either gone through or I'm at that particular point experiencing in my life. And we connect in that way. And it feels so great to be in a community whereby we are able to share the same story. We are able to uh, relate in that level, especially when it comes to our career. Now, so I would get out of the class, once the classes are over back in campus, and I will go to this site and volunteer. And after some time, actually, this engineer was so kind. He started giving me some little money just for upkeep, and I was so grateful. Another thing that I did, I was very proactive in the place that I used to stay outside the campus. We had an unfinished building, and once the construction started again, there is this electrical technician that I approached, the engineer. He was called Masha or Masharia. So we used to call him Mashar. That is the short form of Masharia. And approached him and asked him kindly, can you be allowing me to just join you guys and see what is, happening in here? I wanted to have as many opportunities as possible. And Masha was so kind. Again, he allowed me, and straight up he started giving me something for upkeep, and I was so grateful. So there are times when I would alternate. I would go to, this building, because in our building it was a residential building, and so I wanted to get an idea of how pipe work is done in a residential setup, especially now that that was a story building. So I would learn a lot from the pipework that is done, from the wiring that is done in a residential setup. And on this other side, I wanted to also learn the commercial setup. How is pipework done? How is wiring done? And for an electrical engineer to design that there will be how many sockets in this room. For instance, if we are talking about a commercial setup, so an electrician will first of all inquire from the architect if there is that map. We would read the map and understand that if this one is the reception area, most likely where is the desk placed, because that will determine the socket position. And if it is a door, how is the door opened? That will be that will determine also the positioning of the switch for the lighting. So it was very important moment in life for me, because I came to understand how to come up with these designs. And my colleagues at that time would give me a lot of insights. Remember, I was a student, and they would tell me that, you know what, you this is how a door will normally open at the point where you are entering, and therefore if you want to place a switch, this is where you place the switch box, so that you don't have at the point where the constructors will place the door, that door will not cover the switch once it is open, so that it will be easy for the person that is opening the door to access it. All right. So basically, gave me an idea of an electrician being the designer. So out of these experiences, I came to a conclusion that indeed an electrician is a designer. And so for you to come up with a decision that I want to place this switch here, I want to place this light point at this point here, is actually a testimony that indeed an electrician designs. And so if, let's say, a customer today calls me for work, I will know that I'll come up with a quotation based on what I have seen on that construction that is happening, or that plot that is happening, or that investment. I will say, for me to give you a quotation, I've decided that there will be a socket here or two, a switching point here or two. Of course, I will be doing this in consultation with my customer, whether it is a solar installation, whether it is just basic electrical installation, single phase or three phase. So I will be a designer. Now, myself, I was very, very concerned about the skills. So beginning as an electrical technician, skill was very, very important. And therefore, according to our today's topic, which is my honest advice to myself as a beginner electrician, advice number one: never, ever, ever quit. You know, sometimes we start in the field and we think that things will be great. Of course, I was like that as well. I thought that I would get into this field and things would be very, very great because number one, I am an engineer. In fact, when I was studying in school, people used to call me engineer. And at that time, I didn't have any knowledge, I didn't have any experience. I had not completed school, I had not graduated. And by them calling me engineer, had already started gassing me up or building some level of confidence in me. And I thought, wow, if these people are referring to me as an engineer, then it means that I should also carry myself like so, and I should expect the world to treat me as one. But again, at that particular point, you don't have skill, you don't have experience, you don't have the right customers. So it was very, uh, I think it was so naive of me, if I would use that word, to, to also hold myself in that level. But again, what I did was to continue working on myself. So back then, what I would have done was to constantly work on myself, improve my skill set, and not worry about titles. So that was a very important advice again. And then number two, to constantly invest in the information that I get and not to limit myself. So I really, really invested in electrical and electronics. And on the side of electronics, I was deviating because, again, that was not really, really my passion. So what I would have done then was to focus on one area, which is electrical. So electrical in the sense of house wiring, industrial or commercial wiring or electrical installation. When you talk about commercial or industrial, in many cases, we are referring to three-phase installation. Because when you go to industrial, you will encounter a lot of machines, you will encounter motors, and in most cases, these machines are wired in three phase. So this means that I would really put a lot of emphasis or focus on three phase distribution board and understand how is it wired. All right. And from the distribution board, understand how do you do things like phase balancing. And so because these terms might be too difficult for me at that stage, all I needed to do was to start somewhere, to look for electricians in these industries because at first when I graduated, what I did was to take my papers, you know, and start looking for employment. That was not the right way to do things, but the right way of doing things would be for me to look for electrical technicians and start from there, learning hands-on skill sets to enable me to become better at especially three-phase, how to connect even an industrial socket. So that was the best thing that I should have done. So today we're talking about the brutal honest that John would have for John starting as an electrical technician back in the days. Smash the like button if you can relate and if you are getting some knowledge out of our today's session, my top boss. And also let me know, where are you streaming from? It means a lot for me to connect with you in that angle. So another important advice, this would be definitely advice number 3, is that invest in knowledge. After graduating, what we used to do, or basically let me just speak for myself, was to focus on making money, looking for jobs, and this was not the right thing to do, because education does not stop at the point where schooling stops, right? uh, Education is continuous, and therefore I was supposed to constantly educate myself and not have anywhere where I have like a gap, or I have stopped, and now I need to first of all focus on how to make money. No, education or learning does not stop. It continues until your last day here on earth. And therefore, it doesn't matter whether you are learning or educating yourself about the specific thing that you are doing, for instance, electrical. Right now, I'm studying this book, Seven Secrets of Leadership Success. And the reason why I have brought this up is to just emphasize on the point that you don't have a place in this life whereby you stop learning. Learning should be continuous. So we have been, told that we are supposed to continue to learn for the sake of exams or for the sake of a test, but that is not how you do things, especially in this competitive world. And so, what I should have been doing back in the days was to constantly invest in myself, because, yes, it is good to invest in your area of work or your area of career, but it is very important to focus on investing in yourself. Because if you don't invest in yourself, let's say the knowledge that you need in terms of growing yourself, becoming better and better, it is going to be so difficult even for you to succeed in your area of work or your area of gifting. So if I don't invest in myself, if I don't invest in the knowledge, especially when it comes to finances, because we were not taught about finances, we are not taught about health, we are not taught about personal development. Those came as a part of, you know, it was kind of a by the way, but it was not that in depth the way I've come to invest in myself lately. So lately, what I normally do is to take an hour at least in a day, or some few minutes, to just go through some pages in a book. There is a book that I've also been talking about much that really changed my life. I've been talking about it in our on our other platform, which is Top Heights Electricians, and that book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It really helped me. There's also another book by the title Think and Grow Rich has also helped me. And what I'm reading currently, which is Seven Secrets of Leadership Success, is to simply help me become better at my business. Because another important thing, my top boss at this point, is to note that as an electrician, you must have very big goals in this life. Don't think that you will just be an electrician for the rest of your life. Don't think that you will be under someone for the rest of your life or under a boss. You have to dream bigger. And by you dreaming bigger, it actually attracts greatness towards your way. The things that you say to the universe, the things that you say to your soul, the things that you speak to yourself actually happen. If you speak to the universe that you will constantly struggle, you will constantly fight with some specific customers, or your boss who is probably a contractor or an electrical engineer, it means that that will be your way of life. But if at all you plan that one day you'll be able to have your own company, to be your own boss, and also have other people that you work with, your colleagues, who actually go to the field, perform a certain duty, and then you get paid on the back end, my top boss, then it is difficult for you to invest in learning. So I always invest in learning. The other day, so that we registered our company and also incorporated it. We incorporated Top Heights Electricians PLC, and it was incorporated as Top Heights Electricals and Electricians PLC. So uh, those are some of the steps that I've taken just to ensure that I grow and become better and better. And in case of any opportunities that arise in future, I'm able to grab them. All right, that is a great point, my top boss. Invest in yourself, invest in learning, educate yourself very much, because at the end of the day, nobody knows what is in your heart. Nobody knows what is in your subconscious mind. Nobody knows how big you are or how great you are but yourself. And every step that you take to become better, my top boss, it means a lot. If, let's say, for instance, today you want to focus on solar, you really need to invest in that direction. Get materials that will help you to become a great engineer in solar. And apart from that, if you are thinking of having a company, you know, starting a company and investing in that angle, it is going to be very beneficial to you, because companies place you at a position whereby you will be able to get opportunities, you know. And you see, like, for me, the reason why I intentionally incorporated my company was, I mean, my business was to simply place myself in the way of opportunities. So at this point, I may not have those opportunities, but in case an opportunity presents itself and a company that is registered as well as incorporated in electrical is required, I will definitely apply for it. All right. So that is how you are able to take advantage of any arising or an opportunity that may come to through your way. So you don't wait for these opportunities. You instead be prepared for them, so that in case an opportunity arises, you are able to take an advantage of it. So that is what I did, my top boss. And as an electrical technician that is a beginner, another thing is to constantly refresh myself with the aspect of technology. All right. The emerging technologies currently, we are moving very fast. from the technological advancements that I've seen in solar to the technological advancements that I've seen online when we talk about AI. And this AI is again shifted in the manner in which it controls electronics and also electrical. It means a lot when you approach a client and you are able to share more about the knowledge that you have when it comes to technology. Let's say you are in the security space, and my top boss at this point, I would wish to know, in what space are you in when we talk about electrical engineering? Is it, let's say, when we talk about CCTVs, it means that you are in the space of uh, security systems. And for instance, if we are talking about an electric fence, we are talking about automatic door locks, door opening, and all that. It is in the security sector. If that is your passion, then you must invest in AI. You must invest in the knowledge about all of that, and that will place you on the edge to become a great success. I have a friend of mine here, a great follower, Nam Namyalo Prosi says, long time, sir. I'm John Sentongo from Uganda. Thanks for the shows. Wow, wow, wow. Johnson Tongo is from Uganda, and you are also my namesake. I salute you, and I thank you so much for finding time to join me in this live session. Indeed, long time I have been working on the back end and on a lot of things, and I believe you are saying that because it has been quite some time before I hosted a live show. But again, here I am, and thank you so much for being quite a wonderful follower. Whenever I host these live shows on the other podcast, which is on the other channel, which is Top Heights Electricians, I see you, and I really do appreciate when you take your precious time to join me. So welcome, my top boss, streaming all the way from Uganda, my neighbor. There is something I love about Uganda. It is definitely about food and the way you appreciate natural food. All right. Personally, I love matoke, and I know matoke is food that you really also appreciate from Uganda. I don't know whether you love matoke, my top boss, and my namesake John, but I would really love to visit Uganda one day and have your delicacies. All right. So if you are in the space of security systems, if you are in the space of renewable energy, that is basically solar, if you are in the space of electrical like myself, you must really, really invest in that knowledge. Ask yourself, where is the world currently going? Not where the world is currently, because again, that will put you on the back foot. If tomorrow comes, the world would have advanced already. So you must ensure that you know where the world is progressing. Elon Musk, I like using his example, is working day and night on these technological advancements. Look at where he's taking us to Mars. Now ask yourself, what can I provide in Mars? Am I dreaming too big or overthinking? But that is how you should think as a top boss. When we get to Mars, what services can I provide there, while in Mars? So that is something that is very, very important, because it will place you at a vantage position when you want to grow your business. So if at all in Mars solar panels are required or power banks are required, will you be the first one? Because again, there is a lot of advantage when you become the first one in the market to do something or to invent something. So some time back, when you came up with technology or social media platform that solved people's problems, you would really, really be ahead of time and have a lot of opportunities when it comes to business, when it comes to marketing. So currently we have a lot of social media, platforms. So if you come with yours now, it will really take some time before people can probably adapt to it or embrace it, because there are so many social media platforms. Talk of YouTube, talk of Facebook, talk of Instagram. So if you are the early bird in a certain space, especially when it comes to technology, you are at a vantage position. Now, back in the day, I used to chase money, and money, I think, notices that and it runs away. So, after reading so many books and listening to so many podcasts, I've come to understand that indeed you shouldn't chase money, you should give value, and you give value through work. So today I will ask you this question: what is your work? Not your job, your work. See, a job is whereby you are employed and you have to go at a certain time. You have agreed with your boss that you have to report to work, to that job, not work. You have to report to that job at a certain time for a number of days in a week or in a month. Now, that is a job, whether you are an electrician or not. So, a job, you might also be in that job and you don't like it. You're forcing yourself through life. But work is you solving a certain problem. There is a problem that you have identified in the market or out there, and you have provided a solution. By you providing that solution, you are able to earn a living. So that is where now value comes in. You become a person of value because you have offered a solution to a problem. And that is very, very important, because I used to focus on the aspect of money, the aspect of getting a job, and so that I can solve my problems or my issues in life, be it bills and the likes. But the best thing that I should have done at that particular point was to focus on providing solutions to problems. So I would constantly look for problems that exist in the world and solve them. If, for instance, people are complaining about a certain appliance at home, let's say an instant shower head is electrocuting them, or they are having an issue when it comes to them touching tap uh, handles, they are receiving electric shock. What solution can I provide over there? When it comes to power backups, we talk about renewable energy, solar, and the likes. What solution can I provide there? Now, if at all people are using generators, the generator is making a lot of noise. So I come up with a backup, like let's say solar, and then we have the batteries. So this system is usually very quiet, whereby you are able to use your backup system without a lot of noise, just like a generator would generate a lot of noise. Just like the name goes, it generates power, but on the other side, it has a lot of noise, uh, environmental pollution. So myself, I would really have focused on giving a lot of solutions. Now, what I've been noticing is that when I walk, I find that there are lights that are on even during the day, and it's not a maintenance work that is going on. It is actually that those lights have been connected directly to either the grid or wherever. So you find that maybe it was supposed to be switched off manually by someone at a certain place. Maybe there is no key available to do that. or that person is not available, so those lights remain on for hours. And at that point, what is actually happening is that power is being used. All right. So when power is being used, at that point when it is not supposed to be used, it automatically translates to loss of revenue, from someone or from somewhere. Could it be the county government? Could it be the government is losing a lot of revenue when these lights are on? Because we are paying taxes to ensure that we have security, but we need these lights to be on only at night, not during the day. So as an electrician, how can you come in and offer a solution, right? So if it is the county government that you need to approach, or the national government, and find out who you can talk to so that you can offer a solution. Yes. So let me know, Top Boost, what are you thinking about? Where are you currently in your career? How is work coming along for you? What are some of the challenges that you are going through? If you'll be watching this video as a recorded version, let me know your feedback. Let me also understand where you are in terms of your career, and how is it so far with you, my top boss. I would really like to know how you are faring on as an electrical technician, and so that we can exchange notes and know our journey in general, right? There's something that I can learn, of course, from you in terms of where you are. Are you employed or are you self-employed? Do you have a company? Do you offer your services as a sole proprietor or a contractor who is able to uh, employ other electrical engineers to execute electrical installations or electrical maintenance work, right? So if at all you are a sole proprietor, it means that you are operating solely as an electrician. It is high time that you consider a company. It is high time that you consider either registering your company, incorporating it, so that you approach business with an idea of, this is a business. I'm not just coming to work, but I am operating professionally. Yeah, I was also advised that way by my friend. He said that it is good for you to go not as skilled person or approach business as a handyman, but approach business as a business person. And the best way to do this is to have a company. In many cases, you'll find that if a client is asking for a quote from you, and then you just drift it or draft it on a piece of paper, it will be difficult for them to believe, why should I give you all this money? Why should I trust you with this amount? Because at that particular point, this client thinks that you are shoddy, you are not serious with your work. If you have given a quotation, a plain quotation, you have taken, let's say, a paper. I journal my top boss. If you see this whole book here, I journal every step of my journey, and especially on a day-to-day basis, I like documenting about my experiences. And so anything that I encounter in life, however small, however little, I have to put it here, including my health. If I wake up and I feel some type of headache, I will have to write it and how I overcome it. Maybe it is through a walk in the sun. I love walking in the sun. After this show, I will have to go and have some afternoon walk, right, in the sun. I enjoy it so much. The sun is a healer naturally, but for those who probably don't have sun cover, probably use other means. All right. Anyway, I'm not a health expert, but I'm just sharing what I do myself. So what I was talking about is that if you are an electrician and then someone asks for a quote, and all you do is to take your pen and simply write, for instance, here at the top, you say like quotation for pipe work, and then you list all the materials, and then you probably give the total as well as the labor. So, and then you give the grand total. So maybe you will give it as a physical paper, to the client, or probably you will take a photo and forward to your client. The client will not take you serious. All right. They will think that, in fact, even the amount that you have put in there, for instance, for labor, if let's say you have put 1,000, they will think that you are not worth that 1,000. And so they will probably ask you, why can't you do 300? All right, or half the price. They're doing that intentionally because they think that you're not worth it. If, for instance, you have done a shoddy thing, you're not worth the work that, I mean, the amount, they will not, they don't even trust you. And that is why you find that in our field, a customer will approach you, ask for a quote, but you are probably the fifth or the sixth person that they are asking for a quote. And what they're doing actually is comparing notes. So they will probably get a quote from you, get a quote from five others, and based on the customer's feeling at that time, probably you have given 1,000. They think, well, you have given 1,000, another one has given 3,000. There is a customer who will go with the person that has actually suggested 3,000 in that quote. Why? Because they think that this person knows what they are doing, and this other person who has given me a quote of 1,000 is cheaper, and cheap is expensive. You are probably not really qualified in what you are doing, or you will not do such a great work on my property, and therefore I cannot trust you. So those are some of the things that I've encountered in the market, and I've also been learning and educating myself when it comes to, understanding the customers and how the customer think. Yeah, so smash that like button, my top boss, if there is something that you have learned there about the customer, especially when it comes to, learning much more about our field. Thank you so much. I can see the likes. I can also see we are already at 110 subscribers. This means a lot. That is some good progress. When we were starting the show, we were at 109 subscribers. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Pat yourself in the back, and thank you so much for my 110th subscriber. We are doing very well. I'm in the company of my top boss, John, my namesake, my friend from Uganda. Now, so a customer will judge your final work based on how you have interacted with them. And it makes a lot of sense, because if you have given a piece of paper just listing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 materials, and then you have just written their labor. So what I would do if it were you, I would really invest in my skill set in terms of Excel, in terms of coming up with a proper document, a Word document, explaining. In fact, you can write, what I normally do is have my company logo there. If not the company logo, I can have the heading, the header, where I have the details of the company. For this case, Top Heights Electricians PLC. I can have the address, and then I will start with probably the heading and say quotation for pipe work of your property. I will even have, you know, I will write to whom, I mean, I will write attention, for instance, or probably I will write the name of the client. If the client is using a third party, let's say there's a contractor on site who is constructing the entire property, and he has asked me to give the quotation to that person, I'll write quotation for electrical pipe work, and then attention that contractor, and I will give now a table. You come up with also a table, and then you list your materials. You see, after that, you will have a section whereby you will have notes. So I will have notes, and then I will explain uh, why have I decided to come up with this number of materials. Like, let's say I would say the reason why I'm using these type of conduits is because they are durable and they are easy. They will serve your property well, and therefore that is why I have them. And then I will have several notes just explaining my decisions, and also allow the client to, get back at it. And therefore I will, what I normally do is to ask for their email. You see, you become very, very professional as well. Don't do these exchanges on WhatsApp. Be professional. So if the client sees, the client notices, we are human, we have instincts. If the client sees that you are doing it in a professional manner, not on WhatsApp or just writing a whole text, you ask them for their email. Also draft or write that email professionally. Have the subject, and then salute them. Have the introduction. It was like, dear Mr. Alan, or dear Mr. Kinyanjui, it was an honor having this opportunity to visit your site, and I have taken all the readings and I have compressed them in the document that I have attached to this email. Kindly find time and go through it, and let us discuss further. Right? So you also leave a window for the customer to get back at you, to go through the entire document, and later you can have, a back and forth in case the client feels that probably this material should not be in my property, or probably this is too expensive. How can you advise? This distribution board is probably too big for me. You explain. So you go through with the client, you go through that document with the client. All right. So those are some of the basic things that I would have done starting, but I have really invested in that knowledge. And what I have noticed, or according to my experience, is that clients appreciate when you are very professional, right? Another thing that I would really focus on, especially when visiting clients physically, would be to ensure that I'm always neat, you know. So actually, the way you see me here on this podcast. The reason why I have come as neat as I am is because I respect you, my top boss. If you're watching me live or if you'll be watching this video on recorded version, is simply to give an image of myself, professionalism, to communicate to you that I value you and I value myself as well, so that any information that comes out of me, you can be able to gauge it and take it with some seriousness, not some. Take it with seriousness. So the same applies whenever I'm visiting a client. I have to present myself in a manner that they will take it serious. So back in the days, I would not really mind my dressing, and whenever I gave out a figure like this is what I will charge you, they would be surprised. All of them, all of those clients would be surprised. Why are you charging this way? You're too expensive. I could give an example whereby if at all client A, I ask them 1,000, they will react and be like, you're too expensive. And then next time I would cut it by half and give client B, they would still react the same. So I noticed that indeed they are reacting that way because they find it difficult to match the amount that you're asking with the person that you are. And you know, people will judge you by how you appear. So the first impression matters a lot. And they normally say that you don't have a second chance to give the first impression. And so for me, giving that impression of uh, not being presentable, not looking neat, was really, really challenging. And that was actually the reason why these customers were bargaining so much and thinking that I did not deserve the amount that I was asking for. And so at that point where I didn't understand that, it really affected my business starting, because I had a lot of challenges, and it was so difficult for me to get the amount or the money that I wanted out of the value that I was giving. So for me to defend myself and say that the reason why I'm asking you that is because of the value that I'm giving you, and then they would look back at me and be like, what value are you talking about when you don't even value yourself? How will you value my work? Mhm. So you must be presentable. You must ensure that you are neat. Present your work in a manner that it will showcase the value that you are giving. Also, clients will not trust you if at all you are not professional, right? So there are clients who don't have an issue paying you whatever amount that you're asking, because they see that there is value in you. But if at all you present yourself in a manner that shows some shoddiness on your part, they will definitely be scared and skeptical when it comes to you offering value to their property. They might think that you might compromise the standards that I am looking for. So my top boss, you must ensure that you are presentable in terms of the documents that you are giving, in terms of how you are communicating. Be professional as well. That is something that also costed me when I was beginning, and therefore I should have been a person that was very presentable and also used an official language when communicating with them, and mind what I was telling them at that particular point. So thank you so much for your time, and I believe that you have found value in our today's session. And if you'll be watching this video as a recorded version, I really appreciate your interaction. Let me know where you have learned something and what is your scenario right now, currently. How is your work with your customers? How are you interacting with them? At what stage are you in your career? It will really be grateful for me to know about it. Some of the challenges that you're probably going through, let me know in the comment section. And if you'll be watching this video, my top boss, and you have not subscribed, kindly subscribe so that we can continue learning together. It was such an honor hosting this live stream. My name is John Gatehi, and this is John Gatehi Podcast. Thank you so much for your time, my top boss. See you in the next one. Goodbye for now.